Hi, cat. Come and get some mango, baby.
One, two, 1, 2, 3. Self-awareness is a superpower. My name is KathyLaDonna. Welcome to Soul and Vibration. I hope the free thinkers are doing well. And if you're not doing well, I'm happy to remind you that you are the most powerful person that you know. You are the most powerful person that you know because only you can create your reality. So this prayer card reading is a mystery message. We have 3 groups to select from. Number 1, shark. Number 2, hyena. Number 3, frog. Pause the video if you have to see which group you resonate with. Timestamps are always in the description box below. Let's jump into these messages. Hello, group number 1. Group number 1, you guys selected the shark energy. And when it came to this group, I felt this tiredness that came over my body as I felt like I don't have the motivation to do anything. I'm also all of a sudden experiencing this pain. It's not a pain, but it's like a mild ache, like going up the right side of my back-ish type of vibe. And it reminds me of a few things. It reminds me of sleeping way too long to the point that my body aches, or it reminds me of eating something that just doesn't agree with my body. So it's like I have ache from eating something heavy and then falling asleep on this heavy thing and then waking up just feeling like awful. So when it comes to this group, the mystery message brings me to you gotta get your life together. You gotta get your life in order. I hate to be the one to say it to you, but that's what I'm picking up when it comes to this message. It's time to get your life in order. There's something that you're doing or engaging in that is making you tired. It's a way of escaping reality. You might look at it as a form of healing. You might look at it as a medicine. You might look at it as a part of life. But what I'm picking up from this energy here is that it's showing up more like a drug, more like abusing and escaping reality pertaining to this thing. And in result, it's like you're tired more. You're tired more, and the bare minimum is getting done where your life is concerned. So when it comes to the astro dice, we have the number 9 energy show up. We have Mars and we have Taurus. So with the number 9 energy, the way I would read this is like saying having Taurus in the 9th, having Taurus on the 9th house and having Mars there. I'm not saying that is anybody's placements, but this is going to help me to tap into this message here. So with Taurus on the 9th house, because the 9th house deals with higher education, the 9th house deals with travel. So with Taurus energy there, when it comes to say higher education or travel, Taurus brings me to pleasure. Taurus brings me to comfort. And the number 9 energy also brings me to publishing. So it could be word publishing, meaning a book, a YouTube channel, content, or, book, YouTube channel, content, podcast, or it could bring me to, what you would go back to school for. And with Taurus energy there, Taurus will bring me to anything. Business kept coming up, but Taurus is not what I would get with business. Maybe Mars energy would bring me to someone wanting to go back to school for business pertaining to finances or some sustainable thing in society. And a sustainable thing, going back to school for a business pertaining to a sustainable thing in society. Sustainable things in societies are our medical facilities, our educational facilities, our food, our banking. Those are stable things in society, I think, just to name a few. So for some of you, maybe there's this need wanting to go back to school for something like that to create more stability in your world. And maybe this energy here is coming up because there's this need of wanting to go back to school, wanting to create a new situation for yourself, a new financial situation for yourself, create more stability in your world. And maybe, you know, with everything that I was picking up earlier in the message, it's like, I don't know what I want to go back for exactly, or I don't know what I want to pursue exactly. When it comes to this group, when it comes to this message, I get the feeling of, you know, what I mentioned earlier, the forms of escaping reality. I get someone doing those things as a way of like kind of taking their mind off the fact that they feel like the time is ticking. They feel like something needs to be done, but not sure what to do exactly. Because when it comes to this group, I get this fear, this lack of confidence. And I feel like a lack of confidence, a lack of confidence, someone having a hard time believing in themselves and believing that they can make something happen. So you might find that you spend a lot of time watching some videos pertaining to the field that you might want to go in, and you're looking for success stories to see yourself in some of those success stories. And I feel like for some people that might be because you're pursuing something that you have no love for, and fear is the reason for pursuing this thing. And because fear is the reason for pursuing this thing, there's a part of you that is pushing you back, holding you back from investing into this path. But you know, there's also the part of you that feels like you need to do something already. So it's like I get the feeling of someone going back and forth within themselves and feeling exhausted, because today, you know, you might have gotten up and say, okay, today is going to be the day that I do some work or make some steps towards XYZ. And then the day is over, and none of those things that you said that you're going to do to move towards that direction, you didn't do any of it. And it's like, are you not doing any of it because you're truly, you know, that's not the direction that, you know, your soul wants to experience? Or are you just terrified of failing? I feel like when it comes to this group, there's that confusion where it's like, I don't know if I really want this, or I don't know if I really want this, and I'm telling myself that I want it because it's the easiest thing for me to do. I get that kind of struggle also when it comes to this group. Interesting. All right, so when it comes to the cards, I think it's interesting that you have three major arcanas. We have the World card, came out in the reversal position. We have the Hierophant, came out in the reversal position. We have the Ace of Wands, came out in the upright position. We have the Justice, come out in the reversal position. When it comes to this group, I get that, so maybe y'all are not wrong for what you're doing. What I mean by that is, I feel for this group that it's not time. Like, it's not time in the sense that, like, say for example, there is something that you want to start, but when I say it's not time, what I mean by that is, say for example, someone here wants to start their own bake business, but they're getting ready to move in the next 2 months. And it's like, it's kind of silly to start buying the things that you're going to need because you're going to have to pack them up and move them in 2 months. So right now is not the time to get started, but I'm clear on what it is that I want to do. So I feel like in the meantime, it's a matter of how are you managing your time wisely? Because when I look at the energies across, like the World card says that, you know, when I think of the World card, I think of order, I think of systems, things moving in a certain order, cycles, and it's like the cycle is off, like it's not right now. The Hierophant in the challenge position The Hierophant energy for me will bring me to like commitment, and that's a challenge, as it's in a challenge position and it's in the reversal position. And then we have like the Ace of Wands, which shows that I am passionate about a thing. I feel like I know what I want to go towards, but then the Justice energy brings me to imbalance. So it's like there is definitely something around now, the timing now. So yeah, right now, you might be in a transition phase, and it is not until you get from one place to the next, meaning say you're living in one city right now or one state, and you have a few months until you move to another state. It's a fact that you're moving to another state. You want to go back to school though, but you don't want to just go to school online. You want to actually go to inline classes. It don't make sense for you to start school now in where you're living when you're going to be moving soon, or it would make sense for you to move and settle down and then start school, opposed to starting and then moving and commuting. And it just depends. But I feel like when it comes to this group is within some kind of a transition state. You're in a transition state, and it's just not the time to start. But at the same time, this time shouldn't just be used to use wasted. Instead, this time should be used to prepare. Meaning, say the person that wants to start the bake business or whatnot, this is a good time for you to start, like, you know, every time you cook, every time you bake or whatever, bake for yourself, bake for your meals, bake for yourself. If you want to start a bake business, I'm assuming that you bake often enough. And it's like, in the meantime, you might mess around and see what recipes you want to start with. In the meantime, you might want to look at other bake channels to get an idea of how you're going to pretty much get your momentum going. So, you know, even though right now you're not in the position to jump into what it is that you're trying to do, you can, but it just feels silly to start right now. So when it comes to this group, I get this feeling of I have this fire within me to start something, but for whatever reason, it feels like there's something obstructing my start. And it's because, yes, there is this fire that's building up, that's preparing you for this new path that you're gonna go on. But at the same time, right now, you might not be able to do much, but you can start getting warmed up in some way. Right now, you can start getting prepared in some way, is what I'm getting. You could start getting warmed up and prepared in some way. When it comes to the spirit guidance moving forward, wow, the Phoenix. So the Phoenix as a spirit guidance moving forward, the Phoenix brings me to transformation, a transformative energy that's flowing in. It's like things are transforming. Like, again, I look at all the major arcanas that came out, and you know, they bring me to balance and new cycles and commitment, change, and all of that is coming. And in the meantime, I guess, so when I tapped into your energy first, it would bring me to that feeling of, so I've been in this feeling before where it's like, I'm so ready for what's next. Like, say for example, you know, you're going to be moving in a few weeks, and you're so excited about where you're going, and you're so over where you are. And it's like, for me, because I'm so excited about where I'm going and I'm so over where I am, I'm going to want to do things to kind of escape the moment until I get to the day where it's time for me to go. Because every day where I'm not where I want to be just doesn't feel that great. So I don't even want to experience these days. I might not consciously say that, but unconsciously, I don't even want to experience these days. So, you know, this is where we do things to kind of like numb ourselves out of the present moment as we're anticipating what's next. And with this energy here, I'm getting for you to sit in the present moments, because there's some level of preparation that needs to happen in these present moments as you're waiting to move on. Meaning it might be not until 6-7 months until you move out of the city that you're in to the next one you're going to, or 3 months until you move, or whatever time it takes for the transition, it's enough time for you to start getting prepared. It's enough time for you to start reflecting on the past so you could get some things straight. Say the thing that you want to do is something you've tried before and you failed. This is a good time to get into why you failed before, learn from that, and come up with a better business plan or strategy to move forward. This is the time to get to the root of your psychology that might be holding you back, so that when you get to the time, you're going to hit the ground running. Group number 1, it was a pleasure sharing this message with you. If you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive pick a card readings available weekly only on Patreon, the links for that are in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a red heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, group number 2. Group number 2, you guys selected the hyena energy. And when it comes to the hyena energy, like when I first looked at the card to set it in the middle, it brought me to the thought of, like, say someone in Jamaica, they would say that he's in a temper. And a temper would mean that you're crying and you're like you're crying and you're breathing like that because you're crying. Like, nobody here might not necessarily be crying or going through that, but to me, in an energetic space, that's what I'm getting, where it's like, I think of like the need to what is it called, regulate one's emotions. There's a need to regulate the emotions here when it comes to this group. Like, I get the feeling of someone being very sensitive, but the sensitivity that I'm picking up comes from a chemical imbalance that might happen in the gut due to an imbalance when it comes to digestion. Like, I think of like someone experiencing moments of just being like super anxious or super frightful. Like, I think of like someone getting in the bed and at night before going to sleep panicking about things that are just not that important. All of a sudden, there is this huge flow of fear meaning false evidence appearing to be real. When it comes to this group, what I'm picking up is the importance of getting some sleep, like making it a habit, making it like being religious about getting to bed at an early hour for this group is very, very important. No matter what, even if you get in the bed and you lay there for some time before falling to sleep, still get in there, still turn off your devices, still make the room super dark. Even when you feel like, oh, I'm wide awake, don't pull for your smart device. Just lay there until you fall asleep, however long it takes. Recognize when your mind just keeps jumping from one thing to the next, and challenge yourself to breathe loud and heavy. And every time you forget and drift off on a thought, challenge yourself to breathe loud and heavy. Take deep, loud, heavy breaths and challenge yourself to keep breathing loud and heavy. Every time you forget, bring yourself back to breathing loud and heavy, and see if that will help you to fall asleep. All right, when it comes to this group, we have the number 6, 6th house. We have Aries on the 6th house cusp with Neptune there. You don't have to have those placements. That's just what I'll be using to tap into this energy. 6th house energy brings us to our health, our time management, and our diet. With Aries on the 6th house cusp, it brings me to someone who pretty much has a hard time with structure, planning, and organization. We bring Neptune there. Neptune and Aries energy on the 6th house cusp, you don't have to have that placement. But for me, with those 2 placements there on the 6th house, reflects a disastrous situation if there isn't other energies to balance this out. And other energies that will balance this out would be like someone having the number 8 within their birthday, day, month, year, whatever, attitude number, personality number, soul urge. Without someone having the number 8, the number 4, other fixed energies, just this energy here to me is disastrous, in the sense that with the Aries energy shows me, you know, someone going about their day-to-day life with this impulsive energy, just jumping in and out of things without any kind of reflection or organization. And then Neptune energy there, jumping in and out of things in a dreamy state. So it's like, imagine getting in and out of things under the influence. It's like, imagine getting up every day and operating heavy machinery under the influence. I use that as an example because with Neptune energy in the 6th house, this would say that we go about, a person goes about their day-to-day life seeing everything through rose-colored glasses. And then with Aries there, going through life, seeing everything through rose-colored glasses and very impulsive. So this could look like, say you get up today, you meet someone at the bus stop, you meet someone in the grocery store, and instantly, you meet them in the grocery store, you guys exchange numbers, y'all have a conversation, or even before having the conversation, in your mind, you see you guys married with a family and the whole 9 yards. And now you're speaking to them based off this imaginary thing in your head, probably wanting to rush the connection and jump into things super fast based on this imaginary thing that you're seeing in your head and not even seeing them. Or this will bring me to, like, say the person gets up, you're supposed to be going to school today. You're going to school today and someone at the bus stop says, hey, I got some weed or whatever. And before you know it, like, you're on another bus going away from school. And like, just when it comes to this group, this energy here is bringing me to the importance of structure. Structure is needed. Structure is needed. Structure and some grounding is needed, because the lack of structure and the lack of grounding to me brings me to a chaotic situation. A chaotic situation is what I'm picking up from the energies here. And I feel like the chaotic situation is the reason for the nerves and the nervous energy. So I think of like the person that, there's no structure, organization. And I gave the example about school and another bus going away from school. Of course, I'm assuming everybody here is over 18, but I gave that example. It doesn't have to be school. It could be work. It could be anything. You got up today and you had a set of responsibilities. You had some things to do. And before you know it, you're doing something else, something totally different. And most days are probably very similar. And from that, like, there's like, you need structure. You need structure in your day. And the lack of structure is supporting unhealthy habits. And I think of in the spirit world how some people will say, oh, I'm under a psychic attack, or oh, I'm under this, or oh, I'm under that. And I think, like, I'm sure those things are all possible. Like, I'm sure they're possible. I'm saying those things are possible. But I find it interesting when a person will say something like that when they're completely unhealthy when it comes to, like, their awakening moments. Get up and it's junk food. The body is not getting the proper oxygen from the foods that it needs. The gut is under attack based on the foods that are being consumed. There's no time and silence. There's just there is a unhealthy spiritual hygiene. And then, of course, from that, with the gut, not getting what it needs, of course the body will go into like, will experience anxiety and all sorts of things. And it's not from outside sources. It's from what we are doing within. So when I read the cards from right to left, I have the 10 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Pentacles energy brings me to completion. So when it comes to this group here, I get the feeling that you're at a tough place in your life that requires a lot of responsibility. Like, there's a lot on your shoulders, and maybe that's why there's the whole escape situation happening. A lot on your shoulders could be a lot is expected of you, having to fit shoes that you don't even know if you want to wear. But then I feel like for some people here, you have no choice but to fit those shoes because you don't know how to go about getting shoes of your own. So there just feels like this burden of responsibility with the 10 of Pentacles energy here, brings me of overall financial stability, but has to come through sacrifice. So, you know, when it comes to this group, it's like you're being called to step into a position that will require sacrifice, that will require discipline and focus. The challenge is the Empress energy here. It's like, this is what's required of you, but I don't know how to make it happen. I don't know how to go about doing that. Or the Empress energy here might be that you're getting ready to give birth to something and you're terrified at the thought of giving birth, or feeling like you're not supported when it comes to this giving birth. And the giving birth for me could look like, say, you know, you have this idea that you want to manifest, but I don't know how I'm going to bring it forward. I don't know how I'm going to go about doing it. And the Two of Wands energy brings me to, okay, I have an idea about how I'm going to make this happen. But then the Six of Wands energy in the reversal position brings me to the thought of, it's like, okay, I have this idea that I want to bring forward, but then the Six of Wands energy is like, but it's not being responded to the way I would like. It's not being supported the way I would like. So what I get from this group here is like, say you share an idea with your friends, family, or whoever, and they don't respond to it the way how you needed them to respond. And from them not responding the way you need them to respond, you might find yourself like going through it, like stressed out, overwhelmed, going through it. And this is where you got to work on trusting yourself. You got to work on, trusting yourself. Yes. But at the same time, also work on just like trusting yourself. That's what I'm getting. Trusting yourself. When it comes to spirit guidance moving forward, we have the Gazelle, and the Gazelle energy brings me to, I guess, surrendering meaning. So when it comes to this group, say, for example, you come to the realization that, yes, I need to create something stable, and it's going to require some commitment and sacrifice. You might have a hard time coming up with exactly what it is that you need to do. Might have a hard time figuring out how you could make it happen. You get some ideas and you think this might be it, but then you run it towards the people in your life, or maybe you put your ideas out and you don't get the gratification that you need right away, so you scrap it. When it comes to this group, it brings me to the importance of you realize that you want to make a thing happen, and you go inside of yourself to see what way of making this thing happen best fits me. For example, I think of like, say every person's born, and every person's born on one side of the world, and they have to make it to the other side of the world before they expire in this life. And you could make it on the other side however you choose. You can go by boat, you could go by plane, you could go by car, you could go by motorcycle, you could go by truck. Hell, you could walk. You can make it there however you decide. And on your way, what kind of music are you going to listen to? How are you going to entertain yourself? Are you not going to entertain yourself? To me, it's a matter of sitting down and saying, okay, I want to create this thing for myself. What are ways that I could go about doing so that fits me? So for me, if I had to travel from one side of the world to the next, I would prefer to go in a car. I would prefer to go in a car, and I would prefer to go with someone who has similar music tastes as me and conversational interests as me, or I would prefer to go alone. Because based on what I know for myself, that's what I would prefer. I would prefer to go in a car because music, I love music, and I want to be able to listen to what I want to listen to, when I want to listen to it, how loud I want to listen to it. I want to be able to stop if I want to stop, or I don't want to stop at all if I don't want to stop, if I don't have to use the bathroom. Where depending on if I go on the bus, then I'm going to have to go with the schedule of the bus. It's like if I work for a company, I'm going to have to go with these, things that comes with working for a company. If I go by myself, I have freedom, but going by myself is tough because if I go by the bus, I get to enjoy the ride on the bus and do other things. If I go by myself, I have to always be driving. If I'm not driving, I'm not getting anywhere. So there's so much things to consider when it comes to your destination. What is your destination exactly? Where are you trying to go? And what is the best way to get you wherever it is that you're trying to go? What way of getting there works for you? And in the process of that, it's important to work on being more disciplined. And also to recognizing ways how you get lost in your days and recognizing the patterns of how this would happen and how it would work against you so you can catch yourself when you're doing it and stop it. But yeah, when it comes to this group, when it comes to the message, I feel like it comes down to getting some good sleep at night. And I guess from there, getting good sleep at night and eating foods that, support your body. From there, I feel like there'll be mental clarity and things will start to flow. I say all that because I imagine if a person is experiencing, say, anxiety because of the stimulation of the food or the body needing whatever it is it needs. It's like feeling those uncomfortable feelings for me is such a distraction. And it's a distraction in the sense of, like, say you're thinking about what it is that you gotta do, but then now you're feeling all these uncomfortable feelings happening inside of you. So it's hard to focus on what it is that you need to do. And in some cases, we might take it as if, every time I think about these things, I get these uncomfortable feelings. So maybe I shouldn't think about these things, when really, yeah, you're gonna be excited when you think about these things, because it's exciting to do different things. But if you're not getting proper rest and energy and things like that, these exciting things can put a whole lot of stress on the body because the body isn't properly being replenished through the foods that you're eating or getting good rest at night. So when it comes to this group, I get for you to just take a break, surrender, relax. I feel like you have a lot to think about and it's stressing you out. And also too, the way how you go about your day-to-day life is also important. I spoke on that earlier in the message. That needs to be organized, but it comes back down to discipline. It's like we can have all the dreams we want. I feel like the difference between the people who make it and the people who don't, it goes back to discipline and consistency. There's this little kid that I started following on social media. His name is Zane, and he's a race car. He races motorcycles, all sorts of things. His father was also that. And when I go into the comments, it's so sad where it's like all the comments or highest comments are often, it's because he has a rich parent. He has a rich dad. I feel like, yes, him having a rich dad does open him up to having access to certain things. But there are a lot of people that are born into rich families that don't achieve things because they lack discipline. So yes, he does have an advantage where his advantage does allow him to be exposed to things that the average kid wouldn't. And his advantage also allows for his father to have the freedom to invest into him energy-wise, financially. Yes, he does have those advantages over other children, but we can't take away the fact that he has to get up, every time he falls off the bike and get bruised, no matter how much money he has, the money can't stop him from falling off and getting scraped up and getting hurt and having the will to get back on and continue to get back on. It doesn't change, it doesn't stop him having to train and be disciplined and committed. So I feel like a lot of the times, we'll dismiss the level of discipline and commitment that's required for things, and we'll make excuses and say it's because I don't have this, that, and the next. There are a lot of people that we see all the time, who came from very, very humble beginnings, that were disciplined, that fought hard and put the work in to achieve, to make things happen for themselves. So I feel like it comes back to like, are we going to make excuses for why our situation is the way it is? Or are we going to get up every day and consistently put one foot in front of the other and do something about it? And a lot of the times when we are in denial or lack accountability when it comes to our self-control and discipline, instead of acknowledging that our self-control and discipline is the issue, it's easier instead to point a finger and say, well, I would have had this, that, and the next if I had a rich daddy, or if I had this or that and the next. And it's like, the same person might have the rich daddy and end up having an overdose because there's a lack of accountability, consistency, reflection, and discipline. So I feel like no matter how much money we have or don't have, like reflection, self-awareness, and discipline, like no matter how much money you have, like without that, like you'll never be able to have the things that you say you want. You'll never be able to have the kind of peace that you want, because those who are called to do great things, won't have peace until they answer the calling and do what they're capable of doing. And I feel like, that might be the case for some of you guys who selected this message. Group number 2, it was a pleasure sharing this message with you. I would love to know how you resonate. If you care to share, if you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive pick a card readings posted weekly only on Patreon, the link to book a reading with me or check out my Patreon are both within the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a orange heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you and look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, group number 3. So group number 3, you guys selected the frog energy. And with the frog energy, what's coming to mind, the vision that I see in front of me is someone losing their way from the main road and now having to try to find their way back to the main road, because until you find your way back to the main road, it's like you'll forever be lost in your situation, unclear of if you are going the right way, and the right way is whatever way you say is the right way. And in this energy here, I feel like the right way is towards peace. The right way is towards peace. And being off the main road, for me, in my mind, is like the main road are the ponds. The main road is, because I was looking at this and I was imagining that these are like ponds or whatever, and being on the inner parts of them is like off the main path. And it's like you're off the main path and you need to find your way back to the water, back to the streams, because being off the main path for so long might have caused you to become rigid, might have caused you to become hard, might have caused you to become pessimistic, might have caused you to become cynical. And it's time to get back to the path, get back to, I said the main road, but get back to the streams, get back to the streams. So when it comes to this group, it's like something has pulled you away from your source. Something has pulled you away from your source, and you got to get back to your source. You got to get back to your source. And some of the things that could pull us away from our source are relationships, romantic or platonic. Certain connections can pull us away from our source, in the sense that when the idea of the person in the beginning was so exciting, to the point that your world evolved around the idea and the possibilities of what you can create with this person. And for the longest, you may have been so invested maybe in the idea of, I could see this even happening with, say, a parent, where it's like the idea being so invested in, the children, to the point that it's like, what about nurturing you so you could nurture them? It's like being so pulled away to the family, being so pulled away to the job. But when it comes to this group, it's like something has pulled you away from your source. And, you know, from being pulled away, it's like you're dehydrated, maybe literally dehydrated for some. But when I think of the dehydration on a spiritual level, I think of someone who needs to get back into some form of creative expression, where maybe in the past you used to dance. I don't know why I'm imagining cornbread. Maybe in the past you used to cook. You used to creatively express yourself in a way, and it's been a long time since you've creatively expressed yourself in that way. I think of a person who used to cook more, and now instead you're having these pre-prepared meals or these quick meals, where before you were someone who enjoyed the process of planning and creating for yourself, and now you haven't been doing that, and it's time for you to make your way back. With this group though, I get strong 9 energies and mutable energy. Mutable is your Geminis, your Virgos, is your Sagittarius, is your Pisces. Pisces, Virgo, Sagittarius, Geminis. Those are the mutable energy. I also get like number 9s, people shown with number 9 placements, number 4 and number 2. And with these energies, I think of someone spending so much time within a connection to where they get completely absorbed and lost in the other person's energy. And when this thing is over, there's this need to constantly find oneself all over again. And I feel like we wouldn't lose ourselves if we allowed ourselves to sit completely in our energy and not make something so much more than us, to the point that we abandon ourselves and completely become engulfed into whatever it is, that become completely engulfed into the idea of a person or the idea of a thing. It's like you always want to be conscious of being grounded in your soul, being grounded in your being, because then you wouldn't get lost. You wouldn't get lost in the wilderness and the dryness of the world when you desperately need the water. We have the number 11, we have the sun, and we have Aquarius energy. So the way how I would read this is, say someone has the sun in Aquarius in the 11th house. You don't have to have any of these placements, but this is what I'll use to tap into this energy. So when I look at those placements, I think of someone who completely lives their life and identifies as being a service-oriented person. I think of someone who is known by others for the work that they do for humanity, or the service that they give to others. I think of a person who, their identity is tied into their service. So whether they work in a service job, service career, or just the way how they show up in the world, show up in their connections, it's all about the service that they offer. And also too, when it comes to this group, I'm picking up on someone that has a very vibrant light about them, to the point where it's like maybe others unconsciously like to feed off of the light that you bring, the light that you give. And even though others desire your light to the point of feeding on it, based on how you see yourself, because for you, depending on where you are within your evolution, your consciousness, your self-worth and confidence, you might overlook what it is that you bring to the table, because maybe you were taught to, or you perceive the world in a way that certain things should be celebrated, certain things have more values than others. So you overlook the value that you bring. You overlook the value that you bring. And because you overlook the value that you bring, you give yourself away very cheaply. And you give yourself away very cheaply, and other people feed and consume off your energy. And they treat your energy as it's cheap because you don't see the worth in your energy. Because if you saw the worth in your energy, then you would operate from a place of boundaries. You would operate from a place of checking in with yourself often. It's like checking in and say, is this okay? Yeah, this is okay. I'll do more. No, this is not okay. Stop. It's like there's no checking in to check with you. It's like the worth comes from what people think, how people see you, and what you're known for doing. And you could find yourself often feeling resentful, as in certain situations it might feel like some people chew you up and spit you right out. And that's because you might not show up in a way making it clear of your worth. So they just take it as they please, but might have a hard time appreciating it because, you know, even though they might be well-meaning good people, you know, this thing does say free. So because it's free, I could do whatever I want with it until, like, you know, I'm not interested in it anymore. Where if, you know, there was a cost to it because I'm investing my money, then I would be a little bit more cautious as to how I deal with it. And it doesn't have to be with investing money, where with some of you, it might be a service that you offer and it's time you start charging for your service. You charge because people need to pay in order to pay attention. I think about how there's free information on the internet, and because it's free, people take it for granted and go purchase someone's course, someone who has consumed all the free information and repackaged it. And people will complain and say, but this is all free. Yeah, it's all free. Then, you know, go out there and go find it. Go out there and go get it. And I feel like within this group, it's time for you to learn your worth and start requesting more for whatever it is that you offer. That's one instance here. Another instance is, I think of the person showing up to connections and always showing up to connections in a way where it's like, I got it, I'll help, I'll do it, where it's like, you want to be praised and recognized, yes, but you don't feel worthy enough to get it just from your existence. So you show up to do it through the work. And in some cases, I feel like this is where sometimes we'll have these shadow humanitarians, these dark humanitarians. And I feel like the dark humanitarians, and this is the first time I'm hearing this word or coming up with this word, a dark humanitarian for me would be someone who shows up to gain attention through their service, but really don't care for people or have good intentions where the service is concerned. They just don't feel comfortable getting attention for anything else but for being of service. So I feel like it's important for us to acknowledge, you know, ourselves and know ourselves enough to know, if I don't feel comfortable showing up like Leo and gaining attention just for my existence, and I only feel comfortable doing it through my service, then this is where people got to get behind work that speaks to their heart, so that you're doing what it is that you love, you're doing what it is that speaks to you, and you happen to gain recognition and attention for it. That's one aspect of what I'm picking up here. All right, so we have the Queen of Wands, and the Queen of Wands came out in the reversal position. Then we have the Moon card, which also came out in the reversal position. Then we have the Star card, came out in the upright position. And the Three of Cups energy that come out in the reversal position. So when I look at the energies on the board, it brings me to, like I mentioned earlier, like, you know, having a hard time stepping into that power of knowing your worth, and having a hard time seeing it, even though it's been presented to you. And, you know, I look at the star energy here, and it's like embracing the changes. But at the same time, what I'm picking up when it comes to this group is that things will click for you and you will find your way back to the stream. Things will click for you and you will find your way back to the stream. But when you find your way back to the stream, you know, with the star card, finding the way back to the stream, you might not have the people with you that you thought were with you. And you can't even blame them. It's not even that they're bad people. I think of someone who will sign up for a connection with us because they like, okay, so I'll give an example of me, because I feel like I dealt with this in business, where it's like when I'm in the salon and someone is my client, I feel like when they're my client and they're sitting in my chair, it is my job to cater to them and be all about them. So that means that I'm going to speak to them and listen to them. I'm not the kind of stylist that's going to burden my clients with my drama. Like, I think that's so unprofessional when stylists will have a client in the chair and then every week the client comes back and the stylist got a new drama for them that they're going through, and the stylist is sitting in the chair the client is sitting in the chair helping the stylist overcome their drama. It should never be a dump fest where the client is concerned. So for me, it's unprofessional. So whenever a client would sit in my chair, I don't believe in speaking on the phone unless I'm responding to another client. And most of the time, I'll wait until I'm done. So that means if the person in my chair wants to speak, they have my undivided attention. If they don't want to speak, then we're going to be in silence and listen to some good music while I finish up their hair. So whether I'm speaking to them or not speaking to them, they have my undivided attention. It's like there's this vortex that I provide for them where at any time they could tap in. You know, they have my undivided attention. I used to have issues where people, you know, everybody would love that. You know, everybody would love that. The child in all of us would love that. But then I'll have situations where people, you know, want to become friends outside the salon, and I'll quickly realize that, you know, outside of the salon, they want us to have a relationship that also revolves around them. I feel like when I'm at work, you know, it's my job. They're paying me to do that. But like outside of work, there needs to be balance and reciprocity. So I feel like with this energy here, this is where, you know, with this energy here, this is where you step into your truth. And with the star energy in the upright position, it's like you cleanse and acknowledge certain things about yourself. You find your way back to the stream. But then certain people aren't going to come with you, and you can't blame them, because the you that they signed up for is not the you that you are once you made your way back to your source. Where I think of the you that they signed up for, the you that was away from your source might have been a you that was people pleasing, might have been a you that was fearful, might have been a you that was insecure, might have been a you that was codependent, seeking validation. Where the you that found your way back to your source, back to the stream, this you is confident. This you is sure of yourself. This you speaks highly of yourself. This you seeks no validation. So some will fall off, and it's not that they're bad or good. It's just that that's not the you that they signed up for. That's not the you they signed up for. So for me, whenever I'd make connections in the salon, and over time I could tell that, you know, that person wants us to have a connection outside of the salon, it's like I have to reintroduce them to me, because there's different parts of me. There's the service version of me who's here to serve. And yes, that's a real part of who I am. But when we're not in the salon, like this service aspect of me won't want a personal connection where someone's dumping all the time. Won't want a personal connection where someone lacks spiritual hygiene. Where in the salon, I'm okay with that. Like, you know, this is business. But in my personal life, like, that's not okay. That's not what I want for myself in my personal life. You know, the drama is not what I want in my personal life. I want to get up every day and hear and have to put out fires where the drama is concerned. Like, that's my job, but not my personal life. So I feel like, you know, sometimes we have to reintroduce people to ourselves. And I feel like that's what's happening when it comes to this group. It was a pleasure sharing this message with you. If you'd like to book a reading with me or check out my exclusive weekly pick a card readings only available on Patreon, the links for that are in the description box below. Before you go anywhere, please let me know you're here with me by dropping me a yellow heart in the comment box below. I would love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Love yourself as if your life depended on it, because it does. Take care of yourself, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.